everyone, it's Jan from Jan Plans Things, and welcome to my Plan With Me video for this week. First off, I'd like to say a big welcome to all my new subscribers. I think I was really surprised by how many people enjoyed my August Plan With Me video, so I'm so glad to have you guys join me for the videos going forward, and I hope you enjoy what I try and put forward. I have to start off by apologizing because I didn't realize I honestly shouldn't try and film these in the dead of the night in between work, because what I had done was I had tried to record some more close-up footage of the watercoloring for you, but instead I just pressed the wrong buttons and the footage disappeared. But hopefully there's still enough here so that you can kind of understand what I'm doing. I'm going to go through a couple of the frequently asked questions that I got in my Instagram, like Ask Me Anything that I did last week. I had a lot of reoccurring questions or things that everyone was kind of interested in all the same. The first thing I'd like to point out to you guys is that on the left of the page, you can kind of see the ghost of my previous spread, and that was the weekly that I did the week before, the one that was based on Pixar's La Luna. And you can see that there's a little bit of shadow in the middle of the page. And the pen that I use to write everything with is the Micron, which I just showed you, and you can see a little bit of the text on the left hand side as well. So a lot of you ask me, do I do anything special to the paper? Do I draw on the back of the paper? And my journal is a Leuchtturm and it's known for ghosting, but I find that I don't really have any problem with bleed through at all. There is a little bit of crinkle. I've got a little clip on both sides of the page this week so that I'm not holding the page down the whole time so it doesn't move around. That's not really to do with crinkle though, that's more to do with how flat I'm laying the book. So another question you guys ask me a lot is, how come your pens are running when you put watercolor over it? And the main thing is that you have to make sure that you're using a waterproof pen. And unfortunately in the past I've bought a Sakura Micron, but it turned out to be a counterfeit one and that wasn't waterproof, so I always recommend that you just test it first, unless you're really sure, or you bought it from Amazon or something, or Jet Pens, and you're certain that it's fine. And just make sure that you check that the ink is archival and waterproof, because that just helps it and it won't run when you put watercolor over it. And the other thing is, another question that I had quite often was, what on earth was how come the paper doesn't bleed? And I think it's if you're using a Leuchtturm and your watercolor is bleeding through, it might be because you're bruising the surface of the paper too much, you're running the brush over it too much, and you're actually destroying the coating and it's going through. What I'm showing you now is the watercolor art masking fluid. This is actually one of the most common questions I had after I showed my my August monthly setup, and it was like, what was that white thing that you were painting on before? Sorry, I'm just filming a little Instagram video for you, then you can see my awesome phone case. But it's like, what was the white stuff that you were painting on the page? And the masking fluid is kind of like a little protector, and it protects the paper underneath from being covered in paint. So that means that you can do a wash over the whole area and you don't have to worry about the parts that you put masking fluid on. And it's really great because you want the white to show through as much as possible, especially if you're using a lighter color to paint over it afterwards. Or in my case, what you can see now is that I'm just dotting in the stars, because that will mean that I can that'll mean that it will be much clearer and the contrast will be much stronger. And that means I can also paint like a light yellow over it and it won't be a problem. So I'm just mixing out my colors now, and this is almost the part where the film skips a little bit, but you can see me paint over the star, and then it's like, wow, that's like when you go, you watch a cooking video and it's like, here's one I prepared earlier. Sorry about that, guys, but you can see that where I put the masking fluid before the little dots, it hasn't actually been covered in paint at all. And that means that with lighter colors, when you paint over it, it'll still be the right color, because watercolors are transparent. So that means that you won't get like a muggy brown color because you've got blue underneath, or you don't have to paint white on it again to achieve a clearer color underneath. So what you do with the masking fluid afterwards is just remove it with an eraser, and you'll see me do that in a minute. But at the moment I'm just drawing in the little details to tie this this spread together with the previous weeks by adding that little constellation detail around the edges. The rubber I'm using is the Tombow Mono eraser. I really like this one because it's like a little pen and I just click away at it, and it's really good for just nudging the masking fluid off. And I would normally get my tweezers to remove the masking fluid, because then you can just kind of peel it off the page and it's quite satisfying. But at this time I was like, oh, it wasn't actually that much, so I didn't need to go get a special any special equipment or anything like that. But I really like the masking fluid that I've used. Sometimes you can get a blue one as well, which is really handy, because the masking fluid I have is almost the exact same color as the page, so sometimes I can't tell whether or not I've put it on there, so I have to slant my head a little bit. But there's a nice pale blue one as well, so you can see exactly where you've painted, and that might be quite handy for those of you who have trouble seeing like I do sometimes. So to finish off this spread, I'm just going to paint the lanterns with the black watercolor. I had considered doing it with the Micron, but I actually wanted the black to be a bit softer and not too overbearing. This type of vertical layout where you write all your tasks and columns has been like one of my favorite layouts to do, and I've done a lot of variations to it. And you can see a lot of the other examples on my Instagram. I just find it really easy to do a lot of tasks. So I know if it's really busy, I can go through and just and do this type of layout, because I know that it works for me, and it's just kind of really satisfying to see all the columns of tasks completed. The Finetec Gold palette has made a comeback, because I think I'm just addicted to this nowadays. I'm using the two lightest golds to paint in my stars, and because the Finetec, the mica in it is actually quite opaque, I'll have to go back over it afterwards with a black pen. And at this point I realized that the shooting stars I made kind of look like fried eggs, but you know, like from afar it does still look like a shooting star, but up close I was just wondering what on earth I was thinking. But you know, I think it's kind of cute anyway, and I hope you guys like it too. And I've just added a few little planets as well, because I thought that was a little bit fun. And I didn't do masking fluid for that, and you kind of see that I actually had to go over that with a much brighter color afterwards. I did the same technique that I did with that just then in my previous video, so if you're a bit unsure what I did, you can have a look at it there. But I hope that was helpful. I'm sorry some of the video was clipped. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. I really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to speaking to you guys again next time. Thanks again. Bye.